Everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Balance Sheet. I'm Nicole Holmes. I am the Vice President of Global Customer Marketing for SAP Concur, and I'm super happy to welcome you to this series that's designed for finance leaders who want to go beyond the numbers and start driving real impact. In this series, we're going to tap into the collective expertise of thousands of finance leaders across industries and company sizes to bring you insights, strategies, and real-world experiences that will help you navigate today's biggest financial challenges. So whether you're looking to optimize operations, make smarter strategic decisions, or stay ahead of industry shifts, this is where you'll find the perspectives that matter most. So today, I'm joined by Christian Hecker, Chief Revenue Officer for the Office of the CFO Solutions at SAP. And he has worked firsthand with hundreds of finance leaders as they navigate digital transformation and lead change. Before that, he was part of SAP's own finance transformation in different roles within finance over the past 20 years. I'm really excited to get his perspective on what's driving success in today's rapidly evolving landscape. So welcome, Christian, and thank you for chatting with us today.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Great. We're going to kind of start off because our latest CFO Insights report found that in 2024, 63% of CFOs invested in cutting edge technologies. That's nearly double the 33% in 2023. That's a big shift. But as we know, investing in innovation isn't just about technology, it's about change, impacting everything from process to people. So let's dive in right away. So Christian, finance leaders are making bigger bets on cutting edge technology than ever before, but success isn't always just about the investment, it's about execution. So just curious about, from your experience, what key skills or expertise do you find set top finance leaders apart when it comes to driving real growth through technology?
Thinking back over the past few years, there has been a ton of uncertainty in the business world, right? So because of that, finance leaders have often found themselves really focused on controlling and managing spending. I mean, many of them were naturally cautious, saying no to new ideas or investments more often than not. Same for me, actually, in my last roles within finance. While at the same time, companies start ramping up their investments for growth, which means finance leaders are expected to adapt and balance risk and growth opportunities. Embracing a yes mindset is really important nowadays. Being able to be a strategic partner, a trusted partner for the managing board, in my opinion, is really the most critical skill set a finance leader can actually have today. And when we talk about being a strategic partner, it's really all about being open to change and staying flexible. Finance leaders should be ready to explore new ideas and get creative in how they navigate uncertainty. Even while they embrace this yes mindset, it's crucial they make sure that any new technologies or innovation they invest in will fit well within the company's overall strategic vision. So while they are open to new possibilities, they still serve as those guardrails guiding the organization through these big transformations we do see. Now, when I think about it, this leads us to another key point, right? Having a strong strategic vision. Developing a clear and forward-looking strategy is absolutely essential. It helps leaders to steer their organization through transformation while keeping financial goals aligned with a broader business objectives. And let's be honest, when things get a bit chaotic, a clear vision really helps everyone to stay focused. It sets the tone and direction for the entire team, making it easier to deal with change and challenges that pop up along the way. And let's not skip the need for a solid understanding of technology, right? You talked about it. We've talked about the importance of finance and IT relationships for years, but now it's more apparent than ever. Then finance professionals understand what technology can really do for them. With advancements in areas like AI, we are starting to see the return of investment from initial implementation comes to light. The sky is actually the limit, right? Successful financial leaders should not only recognize the opportunities that technology brings, they should actually actively embrace them. So if I had to sum it up, the top 3 skills that finance leaders should focus on to drive growth are being a strategic partner, having a strong strategic vision and a solid grasp of technology. And don't forget one soft skill that often gets overlooked: curiosity. That one is huge for me. Curiosity drives innovation and keeps the momentum going, encouraging finance leaders to explore new possibilities and fully embrace that change, right? That kind of mindset can really help to lead an organization toward a more successful and sustainable future. Overall, it's a mix of skills and qualities that will empower finance leaders to navigate the complexities of today's business environment and make meaningful contributions to the organization. It's actually pretty exciting to be a finance professional in those times.
So curiosity, that's a really interesting one. It's not a skill that typically we would hear or think about for, today's finance leaders. So can you maybe just share a couple examples of where curiosity has played a big role in driving organizational growth?
Happy to, yeah. So what really pops into my mind when I think about curiosity being so critical is our own journey with AI. Curiosity drives innovation. I'm 100% certain of that, right? It prompts finance leaders to ask the right questions, explore new technologies, and consider how these tools can genuinely enhance their businesses. For instance, let me share a story about a client of yours, Alchemist. They were looking to optimize their travel and expense processes. Through data analysis and a little curiosity, they discovered that allowing their frequent travelers to expense one airline membership a year didn't just add a nice perk for employees, it actually saved the company money. It reduced costs associated with checked baggage fees and even cringeworthy airport food prices. So for me, it's a perfect example of how thinking outside the box can lead to smarter financial decisions and actually also enhance employee satisfaction. Then there's a pilot program we launched with MasterCard. This project is all about integrating real-time compliance notifications right at the point of sale, an area where a curious mindset is essential, right? So employees receive timely reminders to request itemized receipts when they swipe their corporate cards. This proactive approach not only improves compliance, but also simplifies the expense reporting process. Again, it illustrates that by being curious and open to how AI can actually enhance everybody's and everyday's operations, we can significantly upgrade the user experience. So curiosity about AI isn't just about understanding technology, it's about harnessing its potential to create smarter, more efficient processes. And AI is here to empower our workforce, enhance decision-making, and ultimately drive growth. Always with the human being at its center, also at the decision-making. And embracing that curiosity allows finance leaders to navigate the complexities of our industry and uncover new opportunities for success.
Well, I have to say, so because I'm always working with customers, I'm super happy to hear you talking about like the employee experience. And so that makes me really happy to hear that someone in a role like yours is also thinking about that. So now let's also, because the title of this particular session has balance in it, let's explore the other side of success. So failure. Sometimes we don't like to talk about it, but it's actually a good thing, right? We can learn from it. So we all know learning from our mistakes is super big in how we can grow. So based on your experience, what are some of the biggest missteps you've seen finance leaders making as companies start to position themselves for growth? So what can they, and how can they course correct when that's happening?
I like the question. I also in particular liked how you phrase it, right? So 100%, it's true. Failure often teaches us much more even than success does. I've seen a few common mistakes that finance leaders make, speaking also from experience as well, right? And I think it's important to share those lessons. First off, one major mistake I often see is not being adaptable enough, right? Sticking too closely to old school financial practices can really hold a company back. I've seen leaders get so comfortable with their existing processes that they hesitate to invest in new technologies or approaches. But the truth is, being adaptable can open doors to innovative solutions that give them a competitive edge even. Another mistake is not aligning financial strategies with the company's overall goals, right? So Sometimes it's easier to focus strictly on numbers and compliance, but finance leaders, in my point of view, really need to ensure that their financial goals are actually linked to the bigger picture of the company. I've watched organizations make cuts that seem smart in the short term, but that then ended up hurting employee morale or customer satisfaction even. It's all about striking the balance, as you said, and understanding how each decision influences the overall organization. And then there's the opportunity of data-driven decision-making, right? It's surprising how many leaders still rely on gut feeling instead of digging into data and analytics. I've seen it myself in one of my roles as the CFO of our development board area, where we transferred from a kind of gut feeling forecast into true data analytics predictions that helped us actually come to a much better forecast accuracy. And I do see teams missing out on really important opportunities simply because they weren't fully leveraging the tools at their disposal. That the right data can provide great insights that help with everything from resource allocation to risk management. Embracing data is, from my point of view, that not just smart, it's essential. And lastly, let me give you one more example, it's really fostering a culture of collaboration. Sometimes finance teams end up working in silos, which can create disconnects between departments. So finance leaders need to build a strong relationship across the organization. I'm thinking sales, marketing, operations, how to translate a strategy into financial budgets, into operational plans. When everyone feels like they're part of the same team, decision-making improves and there's a greater sense of ownership in driving growth. So while we all love to celebrate successes, it's just as important to learn from our missteps. And by avoiding these pitfalls like not being adaptable, not aligning with business objectives, underestimating the power of data, and neglecting collaboration, finance leaders can really set their organization up for sustainable growth in what's always a changing landscape. And by the way, we embrace the same as at SAP. We call it Screwed Up Fridays, where the employees and also leaders and their failures were shared with the organization, but most importantly, what they learned out of it. And many great initiatives actually came out of this.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I didn't know about that. That's really great. So now let's shift gears to another big challenge. So balancing priorities. With so many different competing demands, what do you think finance leaders can do to cut through the noise and focus on what can really drive growth for them?
Yeah, that's a good one. With so many competing demands out there, it can really be tough for finance leaders to focus on what actually drives growth, right? It can feel like trying to make your way across a crowded room when everybody wants to talk to you for just a minute. And I want to come back to the points earlier, right? One of the first things that really comes to my mind and makes a big difference is having a clear strategic vision. It's so super important for finance leaders to really nail it down from the organizational goals and objectives to the overall strategy. Think of it like a compass that helps steer through all those distractions. I've seen leaders who regularly check in with their teams about their strategic objectives and really keep everyone on the same page. It's amazing how that clarity can help prioritize the initiatives that matter most. For instance, if a finance team identifies that breaking into new market is the top of the list, they can focus their resources there. Instead of getting sidetracked by smaller projects that don't really contribute to that goal, they analyze the potential returns in those new regions. Another piece of the puzzle is embracing data-driven decision-making. When finance leaders tap into data, they can evaluate which priorities will really pay off. Let's say they're looking at several investment opportunities. By crunching the numbers and evaluating potential returns, they can make smart choices about where to put their resources. It's all about cutting through the noise and spotlighting what truly matters. Again, AI can help there focusing the time and effort of the finance professionals where it really matters. And let's not forget the power of effective communication and collaboration. It's so crucial for finance leaders to engage with other departments and really understand their priorities and challenges. For example, if a marketing team is prepping for a big campaign, the finance team can step in to help identify budgets while keeping financial goals in mind. This teamwork creates a shared sense of purpose and ensures everyone stays centered on what's really important. And finally, being flexible is key. Priorities can change on a dime. For instance, if a company hits a rough patch economically, leaders must be ready to reassess and pivot their growth strategy. Keeping a mindset open to change is essential. I really believe finance leaders can juggle competing priorities effectively by having a clear strategic vision, leveraging data for smart decision making, fostering collaboration across the organization, and staying adaptable. So, focusing on these areas can help them guide their organization toward growth while maintaining that crucial balance you talked about.
Great. That's so interesting. So, one last question for you. We're seeing that 60% of CFOs really aspire to be a CEO, and you've worked with so many different CFOs. So, what are you seeing set apart those CFOs that are able to make that leap? What are the differences that you're seeing in those who can make that jump?
Actually, it's exciting to hear that nearly 60% of CSOs are aiming to become CEOs. And it does make sense to me a lot, right? So that transition from CFO to CEO is a significant move. And it really underscores how important it is to inspire your team around a shared vision, right? Not just focusing on the numbers. If you're a finance leader thinking about making that leap, I would say the first thing to focus on is cultivating your leadership skills, right? It's really about connecting with your team on a personal level. When your team sees you as someone who genuinely cares, they're much more likely to rally around the vision you set. I've seen it in action with CFOs who prioritize building strong relationships across different departments. When they finally step then into the CEO role, the foundation helps them to motivate their teams and launch new initiatives that can really boost revenue accordingly. Another vital piece is to broaden your perspective, right? CFOs often get laser focused on the financial metrics, but as a CEO, you need to think strategically about the whole business. I remember a CFO from a retail company actually who really dived into understanding customer experience. They used financial data to gain insights into what customers were actually looking for. And when she moved up to become the CEO, that knowledge helped her revitalize the brand and build stronger customer loyalty, which was pretty amazing to see. And let's talk about communication, right? It's not just about numbers, it's about telling a compelling story about where the company is headed. A great example of this is Indra Nooyi, who was the CFO at PepsiCo before stepping into the CEO role. She was amazing at inspiring her team and the whole organization with her vision for sustainability and social responsibility. Under her leadership, PepsiCo didn't just grow, they also made a positive impact on society. That kind of influence really matters, right? And last but not least, being adaptable is super important. The business world is always changing, and successful CEOs need to navigate those shifts smoothly. Look at Tim Cook at Apple, right? He took over after Steve Jobs, and what really set him apart was his ability to embrace change, leading the company through innovative moves like launching Apple Music and Apple TV Plus. So I'd say to this group, focusing on building strong relationship skills, broaden your view just beyond just finance, work on your communication style, and stay flexible. But genuinely inspiring your team with a shared vision, you will be well prepared to lead your organization into the future.
Oh, thank you, Christian, so much for sharing all your insights on how our finance leaders are navigating digital transformation and leading change. That's going to wrap us up for today. And I'd say if there's one key takeaway for all of you, it's that technology isn't just an investment, it's a shift in how you and your finance teams operate, strategize, and drive impact. And that's exactly what we're going to explore on our next series, AI in Finance, Hype or Game Changer. We'll be diving into how CFOs are leveraging AI to automate, optimize, and gain a competitive advantage. Question, are we on the brink of a revolution, or are there risks leaders need to prepare for? So it's something you're not going to want to miss. I want to just say thank you all for tuning in, and we can't wait to see you next time on Beyond the Balance Sheet.